In the late 90s, early 2000s, no one would expect a backpack producer from Chicago via Atlanta would become one of the most iconic, influential figures, not only in hip hop, but fashion as well.
You know, I'm not going to argue with people that are broker than me about money.
Understood.
But what happens when one manifests every goal he set to the point he would become so immune to the word no that he would test its boundaries?
You're not here to ask questions, sir. You're here to answer.
What you mean I can't ask my lawyer a question? You crazy?
No, you can
You don't know who you talking to. I'm not some slave of yours, boy.
Dragging his own legacy down a rabbit hole that not even MJ can get out of.
I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that.
This is the story of an artist that burned almost every bridge he built himself just to rebuild them again, until eventually his tools were taken away.
Like Jay-Z and Pusha T, they made their living killing our people, so how they gonna stand up?
Getting past every barrier placed in front of him, except the one he placed himself.
Twigs, you ain't think Kim was corny 10 years ago, and I was God.
This is the cap story of Kanye West.
You got cap in your raps. You got cap in your raps.
By 2022, Kanye had already won. He had the money, the family, the influence, and the creative freedom that artists spend their entire lives chasing. But what you see here is the early stages of a man in the midst of an apology, attempting to undo the acts the previous Kanye committed. A man trying to gain everything back after losing everything that for others would be unattainable.
I feel really blessed to be able to sit here with you today and just take accountability. You know, I was dealing with some various issues.
Hardly anyone could fathom in the late 90s that a scarcely known producer from Chi-Town, Kanye Omari West, would become hip-hop's biggest influence outside of Tupac. His Rockefeller deal was one of the first true signs of whatever Kanye wanted, that's what he got. Maybe it wasn't the Rockefeller valor that he was driving for, but maybe it was to get close to not only one of the greatest MCs of all time, but the richest, the corporate cap, Jay-Z. Becoming one of the only things from the Rockefeller office Hov would take with him. This would all foreshadow one of the most tragic moments of Omari's career. If you're a fan, you could never overlook the death of his mother, Donda West. The world began to blame West's untimely acts on the passing of Donda, when in actuality, signs began to show before the 2007 tragedy, like when Omari would challenge the current president while the entire world was watching.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
This moment didn't just make Kanye famous, it gave him purpose. Maybe it was his mother that cultivated Ye's ambition to fight the system, and which he did. But the problem is, he transitioned to fight many other systems, including the one he profited from the most. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. He utterly ended the run of the boss of embarrassment, 50 Cent, in 2008, outselling him like it was easy work. He quickly became frustrated with the thought of no, not just for himself, but for others around him. It was almost like he couldn't lose, or even his flops would birth genres, as what he did with 808 Heartbreak. His goals would extend past the boundaries of a normal artist, which Kanye Omari was anything but. He had the nerve to set his next sights on becoming a fashion icon, a heavy task that he was determined to conquer. One thing's for sure, he had absolutely no time for advice from any of us mortals, especially from Sway.
You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers, Sway.
He once proclaimed that he would outsell the Jordan brand and get a Nike deal, which was asinine at the time. Well, the only one who had a chance to do that will be the king of cap, the Latino, Fat Joe.
You know I was gonna be the first artist, rapper to ever have a sneaker, a Jordan collab.
Doesn't matter you didn't believe him. All that mattered is he did, establishing the Air Yeezy 1 in conjunction with Nike, which would do numbers. Finally, the true king of rap had took the throne. No, not him. It was Yeezy, who even Jay-Z had leaned on for relevancy. But oh, are we just getting started. Just like his big brother Sean, whom he loved, He himself wanted an industry family of his own, and who else would he manifest himself with but one of the industry's biggest jump-offs, Kim Kardashian. West, along with the world, was watching Kim transition from black celeb to black celeb and envisioned himself being the true knight in shining armor, placing a halt to Kim's habit of throwing that thing around the industry, marrying the woman, becoming her husband in an extravagant wedding in Italy. Every door that Kanye once begged to be open was now unlocked. That was supposed to be the end of the story, a win, that's it. But that's not how it played out, because that's when the real problem started. See, getting into Nike was never the dream by itself. Only Nike level power was. The Air Yeezy didn't just sell, it changed the rules. For the first time, a non-athlete moved sneakers at a Jordan level, creating lines wrapped around blocks and resale prices that went through the roof. Nike had lightning in a bottle, and the bottle had Kanye's name stamped all over it. Truth of the matter is, to Omari, he wasn't just part of the brand. He was the brand. Once Ye realized that the company he idolized had no intention of cutting him into a bigger slice of the pie, all bets were off. Negotiations that would usually occur behind the scenes began to transpire in social media feeds. Kanye went public, calling out Nike executives by name, including CEO Mark Parker, accusing them of exploiting his creativity while denying him real power.
So I'm explain to you while talking tonight why you need to get on the phone with Kanye West.
Well, Adidas saw this, and where others saw conflict, they saw opportunity. And when Nike refused to bend, Kanye did what he always does when he gets a no. He burned the bridge completely. To a regular mind, this would be an unnecessary move, transitioning from a sneaker powerhouse to a lesser brand. But this is Yeezy we're talking about. Once again, West got everything he wanted. On the surface, everything was lovely. Just another case of Omari West defeating someone else's no. Somewhere in this time frame is where Mr. West began to show his distraught anger for someone he felt was derailing him this entire time. You see, throughout this story, there was a silent war going on that was brewing for years, and he could no longer ignore it. A battle with himself.
Man, enough of this shit already, boy. Y'all just wait till someone ain't affecting the stock and y'all just take them out one by one to impose fear on anybody with freedom of thought. Well, I smack shit out you when I see. Don't tell me what the to do ever in your life, boy. None of y'all Hollywood plant ass tell none of us what we do. This our culture now. It's up. You can't cancel none of us. It's up, boy.
Yeezy's Nike deal ended up being a precursor for things to come, striking an even better deal with a company, Adidas, who was practically on its deathbed at the time. Now, time to take care of his evil twin, the pro-black Kanye. The guy suddenly began to act like he banged his head hard on something.
Oh! Kanye! Oh, Kanye, you okay? You okay?
Yes, maybe it was the meds, which he insisted, but he no longer could align himself with the previous Kanye who had stood up for blacks. Not only that, but he felt like it was time to call out his big brother, who he thought wasn't thankful enough for keeping him relevant. And not only him, his woman as well, who he implied he made famous. On stage in Sacramento, he went after Jay-Z and Beyonce publicly, pleading with Jay not to send killers at his head, exposing paranoia and resentment in front of thousands. In that moment, the throne wasn't just cracked, it was shattered. This wasn't just a friendship unraveling, it was Kanye burning the last mirror that ever reflected him honestly. Jay wasn't just a collaborator, he was now a peer. And once that relationship collapsed, there was no longer anyone Kanye respected enough to check him. Besides, Omari was on pace to outdo his idol. It got to the point where he would even decide that the name Kanye wasn't enough, demanding we all call him Ye. At home, the tension wasn't any lighter. Kim had married an artist, but she was now with a man spiraling between genius and grievance. The public outburst didn't stop at brand-level execs or even hip-hop icons. It now showcased itself in marriage disputes. By 2018, Kanye didn't just lean into controversy, he wrapped himself in it. Determined to get himself out of the mess that the pro-black Kanye created, he decided to shock the world and show his support for Donald Trump.
Rapper Kanye West in the Oval Office.
wearing the MAGA hat proudly and praising what he called dragon energy. The same man who became a hero in 2005 for calling President Bush racist was now aligning himself with Trump, who was labeled by many as one of the most racist of all time, alienating the very audience that crowned him as the voice of black resistance. This move wasn't up for discussion. When John Legend reached out privately asking him to reconsider the path he was on, Omari responded by posting the text messages publicly, framing the attempt as manipulation and positioning himself as the lone free thinker surrounded by sheep. No sympathy at all for anyone who aligned themselves with the pro-black Yeezy. This couldn't be more clear than on May 1st, 2018, when West went on TMZ.
When you hear about slavery for 400 years, that sounds like a choice.
In one sentence, Kanye erased a decade of goodwill and replaced it with MAGA cap. Kim was definitely not built for that life, especially since she built most of her empire on black men's back, or on her back for black men, however you call it. She found herself defending statements she didn't make and apologizing for words she didn't say. This is when West began to take a pause, implying that these things transpired from mental breakdowns. The best move to make would be to unite with Kid Cudi and make an album called Kids See Ghost, an album rooted in vulnerability, mental health, and brotherhood. For a moment, it felt like it was Kanye again, rather than Ye. His fans, the world, took a deep breath. He would take things a step further to really show the world that MAGA Ye was just a moment. He would introduce the Christian Kanye to make things up, releasing a Christian album, Jesus is King. It was almost like Kanye couldn't fail, seamlessly keeping everyone's attention on a move that would probably fail for anyone else. But West doesn't accept no, renouncing what he called the flesh of the rap industry. He even got the Mary Magdalene of the industry, him, to join him at his self-created Sunday service events. What this period revealed wasn't a man losing his mind. It was a man with everything he ever asked for, finally freed from consequences, testing how far that freedom could stretch before it snapped. By 2020, Kanye West finally reached the destination he'd been chasing his entire life. Forbes officially declared him a billionaire, a number that West would even claim was lowballed. He followed that up with signing a 10-year partnership deal with Gap. Ye had become not just a billionaire, but the richest black man in American history. Not only that, he felt like he wasn't finished destroying everything that MAGA Ye built, so he launched a 2020 presidential campaign against the Orange Man himself.
Well, Harriet Tubman never actually freed the slaves. She just had the slaves go work for other white people.
Y'all, we leaving right now.
He wasn't even trying to win. It was to show no one owns him. At this point, the pattern was undeniable. Ye didn't just reject authority, he rejected alignment. Kim had begun to move on, being quite public with a relationship she started with Pete Davidson. This after Yeezy insisted on a divorce, claiming that she also had an affair with Philly's own Cheek Mill. But none of this would outdo the next Kanye that was due to be revealed. And this Kanye will be the one to maybe offset him for good. Ye had conquered, not ever accepting the word no in any form or fashion, though his next conquest will be the most disruptive one yet. It will become the moment where he would have no choice but to accept the most defining no that an artist in today's world could get.
What's gonna happen to me? I'm gonna go to jail?
Only answer my question, sir.
No, I'm asking, Equine, can I go to jail off of anything related to this lawsuit?
You're not here to ask questions, sir. You're here to answer.
What you mean I can't ask my lawyer a question? You crazy?
No, you can
You
say.
don't know who you talking to. I'm not some slave of yours, boy.
If you would
What you
like,
mean I can't ask my lawyer a question? That's the dumbest. Are you crazy? You just told me I can't ask my lawyer a question.
Ye had gotten past almost every no he's gotten in life. At this point, Kim, the remaining person in his life who told him no, was gone and replaced by another white woman, who, it became clear, she understood the rules of there being no such thing as no.
And Bianca has her free will. Some people are saying you're controlling.
TMZ, what are we doing?
I just need my phone.
Where is your phone?
No, she came to me and said, does your wife have free will to speak? She worked for TMZ.
Okay, how do you know each other?
Yeah, how do you know me, miss? I don't know you. What is her name? What is this lady's name? No, you're not just a reporter. What's your first and last name? Melanie what?
What's your address? What you make a year? I'll pay you double what they paying you.
Now set with a super submissive wife and being the richest black man in American history, it was finally time to take on the biggest group of all who mastered the art of issuing permanent no's toward anyone who ever contested. This unsettling era for Ye would begin in spurts, but notably when he displayed private messages between him and Diddy, where he pretty much implied that he's the chosen one to take on those who silence others. The rest were pawns. What might have been deemed a nervous breakdown was proving to be everything but, with tweets that were provocative to say the least. The fallout was swift. After doubling down in interviews with Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan, the institutions that once empowered him began to sever ties.
You know, I'm not going to argue with people that are broker than me about money.
Understood.
Adidas, Balenciaga, Gap, the systems Ye fought to control finally did what he never believed they'd do. They begin to say no.
The thing about the red hat that drove me to a point of exhaustion, which was misdiagnosed by a, I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that. It was a...
But even that wasn't the bottom. In December 2022, he began to spiral even more with tweets and an appearance with the cap of conspiracy, Alex Jones. Then, just as abruptly as he detonated everything, he disappeared. For months in 2023, Kanye said nothing publicly. No rants, no interviews, no explanations. And when he finally returned, it wasn't with remorse. It was with confusion. Really experimenting with his first cap apology inspired by 21 Jump Street. By December 2023, just days before the release of Vultures, Kanye wiped his Instagram clean and left a single post written in Hebrew. He apologized for any unintended outburst and claimed he was committed to making amends. But of course, it didn't last. In February 2024, Vultures was laced with lyrics that not only undermined the J community again, but also destroyed the Christian Ye in its entirety. To add awkwardness to everything, he alerted the world he was a closeted homosexual since a child, exchanging sexual favors with his own cousin. By 2025, Kanye stopped backtracking altogether. He returned to X with a barrage of posts, explicitly identifying himself as a Nazi, praising, stating he would never apologize for his comments about Jewish people, as well as taking shots again at Jay-Z, his now ex-wife, and even the capo of Cap, Jim Jones.
You know, but you offended Jay-Z. Fuck him.
Kim Kardashian, you telling me you ain't think she was corny 10 years ago? Twigs, you ain't think Kim was corny 10 years ago. And I was God.
They think they too powerful. They think they could get Kim to play with me. This man tells me, I don't know how to make a PDF. You gonna lie to me about a PDF, you ass nigga?
He wasn't done. He would finally put the nail in the coffin by releasing one of the most unruly songs of his career that we'll just call HH. He would make sure to drive the point home with a music video to go with it. The challenge was fully executed. He got his billionaire status revoked, which he would claim to gain again. But in the midst of all of this, he got himself canceled across the board on any platform of American mainstream media. While he successfully would throw epic shows across Asia, he would react as if he was missing something, as if he was unhappy. He finally had enough. He became tired of the shit that the Nazi Ye got him into. In January 2026, Ye took out a full-page advertisement in the Wall Street Journal titled "To Those I've Hurt." In it, he attributed his behavior to an undiagnosed brain injury from his 2002 car accident, claiming it triggered a 4-month-long manic episode. The implication was clear. This wasn't ideology, it was injury. Was the 2026 apology a genuine moment of clarity, or was it the ultimate cap to save his upcoming album, Bully? The problem getting the world to believe his apology was mainly more people than he probably planned for didn't think Ye was going crazy.
Like Jay-Z and Pusha T, they made their living killing our people, so how they gonna stand up?
To them, it was truth, which was now the last thing he wanted. This time, he would be the one to say no. It was all cap, an uphill battle almost impossible to achieve. But one thing's for sure, for Ye, impossible was only an emotion, not a reality. And that's where this story becomes bigger than any single outburst. Because when someone keeps changing why they crossed the line, the real question stops being what they said and becomes whether they ever plan to stop crossing it at all. And that part of the story hasn't been written yet. Please watch my other Cap stories, including The Game, Cap of Compton, and Drake, the Cap of Canada. Well, anyways, you know how we like to end our videos over here at Moxy Approve, right? With that water. I'll see you here next time on Moxy Approve.